we make decisions, what are the biases, some of the problems, some of the challenges in making those decisions. Oftentimes when we're faced with a decision challenge, we rush to a certain judgment and go based upon what we think is the normal course of events. In the movie Doc Hollywood, a young doctor, played by Michael J. Fox, examines a young boy. And based upon the greatest medical training in the world, he decides immediately this boy needs surgery. The old doctor in the town, played by Barnard Hughes, examines the boy, gives him a Coke, or perhaps a Dr. Pepper, and immediately proclaims that the boy has some indigestion. I think when we're looking at the challenges we have, the first point we need to make is we need to have a framework for the decision making that we have. But having that framework immediately presents a challenge or a bias in terms of what I would call anchoring. For those of you that listened a little bit about the big idea, all those big ideas were about not anchoring your framework. Having a framework for making decision, but not saying that the current framework is always going to be the future framework. Saying that, okay, I have a framework for making a decision. The second I have a change or a challenge to that framework, I need to re-examine that framework. I need to introduce change into that framework and look at how that change may alter the framework that I'm thinking about. You talked about a bus ride. Some people's framework is a quiet bus ride, a direct bus ride. Please don't play strange music on that bus ride. All right? Now you're introducing change and you say, give me some music, give me some background noise, give me something that I can enjoy. Once we introduce change, one of the most difficult challenges for most of us is to evaluate the feedback. How does that change alter our framework? Perhaps my bus ride should be. Oh yes, of course, perhaps we should have music, but you know, I kind of like the old bus ride, and I'm going to stay with that. Some of you, for example, talked a little bit about diversity. I think we would have to really understand that diversity is, again, one of those elements, like financial services, that is constantly undergoing change. If you would have talked to somebody in Charlotte 20 years ago about diversity, it was black and white. You talk to somebody today in Charlotte, it's black, white, and maybe Hispanic. In 20 years, it'll be some other group thrown in there, in the mix. It'll be 5 or 6 different groups. When we talk about how our framework, our view of Charlotte changes with respect to diversity, we're constantly adding new groups. So we go through our framework, we have changes, we look at the implication of those changes, and then we have to make choices. And choices are always extremely difficult. We're comfortable with the old world. We may not want to choose to have music on the bus. We may not choose to go into that other zip code. Right? We kind of like where we are right now. When we choose, we also have what we call a bias in terms of sunk costs. Sunk cost means I have so much invested in the old framework, I don't want to change it. I kind of like when my kids go to school. I kind of like where I go to work. I kind of like my car. I don't want change, and I don't want change to impact my world. That's, again, part of that bias that may limit our choices. And so when we make that choice, oftentimes we do choose to say, I need a new framework. I need a new framework of thinking about Charlotte, a new framework to think about its diversity. I need a new framework to think about putting names on trees. I need a new framework going forward. So I think when we're looking at decision making, when you look at decision making, I think oftentimes you need to look at, what are my biases? Am I anchored in the past, or am I anchored to convenience? When I do see change, how do I feel about that change? Do I sense that I only want to confirm what I already believed before, so don't give me any new news? And then finally, what about my sunk costs? Am I really just so tied to where I am today that I can't make any move to the new framework? Thank you.